Hi, welcome to SBR Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. We are previewing the main card of UFC 177 right now with our regular returning guest, Nick Kalikas from MMAOddsBreaker.com. And Nick Kalikas, of course, is a consultant for numerous sports books on MMA odds making, and he opens MMA odds for all these books. And also, our phone-in guest is going to be Brad Tazchuk, also from MMAOddsBreaker.com. All right, guys, we're going to start with TJ Dillashaw and Renan Barao. Now, this is Nick, I'm very happy that we have you here to discuss these odds because, in the UFC 173 fight, you opened Barao at minus 425, got pounded all the way up to minus 800. I don't know exactly where it closed, but of course we saw what happens. Now here we have Dillashaw at minus 150, Barao at plus 130. Nick, what's your general comments on the discrepancy between those lines, and where did you open this fight?
Well, I mean, the first line, I thought when I originally opened the line, it was a fair price. Now, obviously, it wasn't a good line, even though it did end up being a little bit more accurate than the public bet it the first time around. Because, man, I didn't think that Dillashaw would get disrespected as much as he did.
Right.
And I honestly thought, as far as a pick goes, Barao would win that fight. So I was just as shocked as everybody else, honestly, that Dillashaw dominated the way he did. I thought there was an outside chance he could win. I even put a small wager on him, but nothing to brag about at all because, I expected Barao to probably come through in that fight. I just thought the line got a little bit out of whack, and it did. Now, this time around, it was a tough line to set, man, honestly. I mean, it closed at 12-1 in some places last time. So opening Dillashaw, the slight favorite, I opened to minus 135, was kind of tricky. It got bet up and down a little bit. Now it's settled around 150. And I think that's probably a fair line.
All right, yeah. I mean, when you were setting your opening line, I'm assuming that most of what you were considering was the action that you take on it, not necessarily where you thought the line should be, right?
Right, exactly. You got to kind of gauge it that way a little bit. Sometimes you want to bait public in one way or the other, but again, I did not expect it to climb up to 8-1 originally, not at all. So yeah, it was like I said. No matter what, it was still kind of a bad line.
Right. All right. Sure. So Brad Tazchuk, Renan Barao minus 800 in the first fight, plus 130 here as an underdog. And, we know that it wasn't fluky. Dillashaw was dominating from round one. He was ahead on the cards. But then again, Barao does have some excuses that he cited. He said that he wasn't very well prepared for that one, that he's a lot better prepared now. If we take his word for it, should Dillashaw really be a significant favorite here, minus 150?
I think he should be the favorite. I think that there were a couple things heading into the first fight that some people touched on. I know that there's another show that I do, and I said that Dillashaw's speed and his striking could be a little bit of a problem for Barao, and that's really the one weakness that we've seen out of Barao throughout his career. He's got that one no contest on his record, and really it's basically a knockout, but the guy knocked him out with an illegal shot. And then, we've seen him get clipped a couple other times in some of his fights. So I was surprised a little bit by the first fight, the way that it played out. But it wasn't the most shocking thing in the world to me because TJ Dillashaw is a very fast fighter. He's improving at a very fast rate. Right. And he's obviously a very good striker at this point. So I think that those things are going to come into play again in this fight. I'm not sure that he gets the finish this time around, but if he does, if he goes out there and knocks Barao out again, then it really wouldn't shock me. So I think TJ Dillashaw is a rightful favorite.
Yeah, I mean, when we previewed this fight, the original one, 173, that was the one word we kept on using, improving. And the one thing that we said about that fight was that you always want to be very careful of betting against a big underdog that is improving, as Dillashaw was. And the question is, all of his, because Dillashaw has been beaten, you know what I mean? He's been beaten and challenged numerous times and so the question is, do we throw all that out because we just assume that now he's just a significantly different fighter than he was when he was struggling?
Yeah, I don't think we do. I think that both of these fighters are very good offensive fighters. Both of them still lack a little bit defensively. Obviously, we saw Dillashaw get knocked out by John Dodson. Right. We've seen him rocked in some of his other UFC fights, and we've seen the same thing with Barao. He's been hit, and both of these guys can be hit, and both of them hit very hard. So a stoppage either way here wouldn't shock me. I just think that because Dillashaw's got that bit of a speed advantage, that he'll probably be the one to strike first.
Nick Kalikas, for the first fight from an odds perspective, again, it was sort of a classic situation. You have a dangerous guy who's improving and a big underdog, and that did turn out to be, the side that cashed. And I'm thinking maybe we have a similar type of situation here, which is another classic situation, which overreaction to a last fight, and maybe Barao has some value at plus 130. Is that an accurate way of looking at these lines?
Yeah, I can see people looking at it like that way for sure. I just think, you know what, Dillashaw has his number though. I mean, you got to look at it like he dominated that first fight.
Sure.
I know he got caught early on, and people can say what they want, but regardless, I think styles make fights, and the way Dillashaw matches up with Barao, it's obviously a pretty good matchup. I mean, he was winning the striking battle throughout the fight. I mean, that finish was impressive as well. And Dillashaw is that kind of guy that just improves leaps and bounds with every fight. And right now, he's got the confidence going in. It's at an all-time high as well. So honestly, I mean, if you get Barao, I think a little bit higher, then it might be worth a small stab, because it wouldn't shock me if he comes out and regains his title, even by a finish. Like Brad said, I think he's very accurate on this fight, but I'm really favoring TJ Dillashaw to win this fight, to be honest with you. I think there's almost more value at the current price a little bit for TJ. Again, when I first set the line, I wasn't sure how the public was going to react, because a lot of people think that TJ caught him early and it was a fluke. So, I mean, I was trying to open the line at a fair spot. So necessarily, I thought it could get flipped and Barao could be the favorite. We could still see that with as heavy as the action does come in on fight day.
So it sounds to me then like you're getting pretty significant action on both ways here, and that's probably going to be how the action winds up being.
Yeah, I'm going to try to put the books a little bit more so on TJ Dillashaw. So we need TJ to win and let the public bet a little bit more on Barao. And I'm sure we're going to probably eventually get that. I mean, there's going to be some heavy action coming in on Barao. Again, a lot of people are just going to think it was flukish, and the guy's such a talented fighter. I mean, it's hard to argue that. You're getting Barao at a plus money. I mean, how often are you going to see that?
All right, Brad Tazchuk, interesting handicapping situation and interesting odds that are currently being offered. I'm going to have to put you on the spot right now to give us a pick. TJ Dillashaw minus 150, Renan Barao plus 130 on the other side, and the total is 4.5. The over's minus 150, under is plus 120. If you had to make a bet here, what would it be?
Well, I was sweating the inside the distance on TJ Dillashaw in their first fight, so I'm not going to take a shot on that. I think my play would just be TJ Dillashaw straight at minus 150.
Wow, taking the favorite to repeat at minus 150. All right, I think we got our pick there. Thanks so much, guys.